Hey guys, and welcome to a battle featuring myself here in charge of the Norscan forces up against Sir Astolfo of Bretonnia and the Bretonnian hordes. Or the regal knights and peasant hordes, I suppose, is a better way of putting it. We are going to be fighting on Altdorf outskirts, so it looks like Bretonnia has answered the call of Empire here and have ridden to aid them in their most dire of hours as the forces of Norsca do lay siege here. Now, for my front line, I've gone relatively expensive actually up against Bretonnia, because I do have a couple units of Marauder Berserkers mixed in with the basic Marauders, who are chevroned up a little bit, however. Now, the idea of this is that we'll be able to chew through the infantry incredibly quickly and then get onto the back and destroy those peasant bowmen my opponent is no doubt going to be bringing, which will hopefully allow my big monsters to really carry the day. And for my monsters, we do have triple Famir warriors, one of which is the Mist Stalkers, the Regiment of Renowned version, who of course do come in with Stalk, have a nice missile resistance as well, and just a generally big pain with their terror causing, missile resistance, armor sundering, and all that good stuff. So we do have the Mist Stalkers here on the right hand side. In the centre pocket we have some Famir warriors with great weapons and another unit on the far side as well. I think these guys are real MVPs up against Bretonnia for the Norscan roster. Coming in with great weapons, they have fantastic stats, and also coming with the armor sundering helps pull down those pesky knights off their mighty steeds. For a leadership core, we do have a Shaman Sorcerer of Death, simply rocking a Scroll of Shielding and a Spirit Leech. And over here we do have Wulfric the Wanderer up on top of his mighty mammoth, coming in with all his glorious buffs, including the Sword of Torgold, a very expensive item. But I do like the 90% bonus to base weapon damage up against those knights once more, trying to take them down. And of course we have Hunter of Champions, Fight or Die, and the ever-picked Sea Fang. In a little vanguard, we do have double Marauder Horsemen as well for a little bit of harass, pushing into the back line, as well as helping kite cavalry. And in the far distance, hidden in some trees, we have some Norscan Warhounds. Now, for my opponent's Bretonnian forces, on the right-hand flank, we do have triple Grail Knights coming in, anti-large, bad-to-the-bones warriors who will charge through the fire and the flames of the battle and in deep into the heart of enemy lines for the lady. And that's certainly do some pretty decent work up against my build. I quite like the Grail Knights here. They run over Marauders just fine. They don't need the anti-infantry, and they fare a little bit better up against Famir and Skinwolves. We do have a ton of peasant mobs, the backbone of any good Bretonnian force, as the main battle line, and they are going to be backed up by a ton of peasant bowmen dotted all the way into the sunset, a mixture of fire, pox, and basic arrows amongst all of them. We then have the Companions of Quernel, more Questin Knights, a Regiment of Renowned version, and another unit of Quest Knights as well. So anti-infantry can be backing up the main battle line, whereas the more heavy shock cav on the right-hand flank. So big fan of this build, actually. It's looking quite cool. We do also have a Paladin on foot, as well as Gotrek Gunnarsson, I believe his name is. The ultimate / worst slayer, depending on how you look at it, coming in with heroic fortitude, and of course he is unbreakable, and he's a brilliant pick here in my opinion, can really help neuter the effectiveness of someone like Wulfric, Mammoths, and help deal with Famir and Skinwolves. For the leadership, we do have Faye Enchantress just kind of floating along, just vibing, and she's going to be coming in with Earthblood. So both of us only going for one spell here, me going for the Spirit Leech spam, and my opponent going for the Earthblood kind of hero core spam. So it should be some good fun indeed. And here we go, as I do charge headlong forward. I'm going to try and rotate Wulfric and some more of the Famir round to this flank to help her deal with the Grail Knights. We do get a charge in on the Marauders, who are going to be falling back towards the relative safety of Famir, and nothing, no damage kind of either way too much there, to be honest. As we start pushing forwards, we do drop a Spirit Leech on the Grail Knights, trying to kill models as quickly as possible, as I don't really want my opponent to be able to heal up any of his troops. A ton of bowfire is focused down my Marauder Berserkers, absolutely deleting them, and in comes the hero blob to pin those guys in and basically just get them annihilated here. However, we do have quite a nice overload on this right-hand flank, and it's going to be quite tough for my opponent to protect his peasant bowmen here, as we do dart in. Berserkers and whatnot will chew through peasants. A lovely boat does come down, disrupting the peasant bowman backline, in fact breaking two of their troops, as Marauder Horsemen now do float in and start chewing on the peasant bowmen in the back line. We're breaking their leadership very quickly with the big shock damage. However, the main punch of my opponent's build is doing some decent work. We have Cav consistently cycle charging, darting in and out. It's really hard for me to pin them in, and they're kind of helping out his hero core here. But once again, we are playing the long game here, dropping a Spirit Leech once more on some Grail Knights, trying to whittle them down where possible. Fortunately for me, Gotrek is hunting down Familiar Warriors, a perfect target for him. We do pop Fight or Die to allow ourselves to chew through the Grail Knights a little bit quicker. I actually go for the assassination attempt here on the Fey Enchantress, popping down Hunter of Champions, but realising I'm pinned in by cavalry, I actually go for them first, trying to allow a speedy escape here. On the right-hand flank, we've decimated the Bretonnian foot troops, which is to be expected. They are rather cheap, and the Familiar Warriors, or Miststalkers in this case, are dealing with the Crescent Knights quite comfortably. In the distance, the Warhounds have been sprung from their trap. Looks like they've already got 44 kills, shattering one unit. They're going to be darting into the back line as well, trying to clear up the rabble where possible. Wulfric has made a nifty escape here. Looks like a Scroll of Shielding was popped as well when he was pinned in there. However, we are losing some of our Familiar Warriors, 2 units in fact, which is really disastrous at this point. But on the good note, we have managed to shut down the firing line pretty much completely here. And with Norscan Warhounds and Marauder Horsemen reaving in the back lines, we should be able to keep them offline for the majority of the remainder of the battle. At this point, I know I need to play the long game, so I'm going to be falling back where possible, pulling away my opponent's Grail Knights with my Marauder Horsemen, kiting them, getting in those nasty throwing axes, or javelins in this case, and then slowly whistling them down with Spirit Leech after Spirit Leech, trying to pull them down so that I can then surround the hero core at the end, trying to assassinate them with Wulfric and Hunter of Champions and the like. Peasant mobs are trying to tie in the Norscan Warhounds, but not having any of it, bouncing over to the Quest Knights, who have just rallied, but on the charge, Warhounds can do some okay damage. The Quest Knights are very beat up at this point, so the main aim here is just to break them off the battlefield and chase them away once more. In the distance, it looks like we have another upgraded Earth Flood going down on the cavalry blob this time, which is getting some pretty good value. There's still a lot of these knights darted around, and they have a ton of healing potential left. We are going to be kiting back, throwing some axes into Gotrek where possible, and another Spirit Leech going down on the Grail Knights as I do pull back my forces. And the Marauders are going to be sacrificed here, as they do get pushed forward, trying to break the charge. It looks like the Miststalkers, trying to waddle away, are just about going to escape before they're able now to turn around and charge in with Wulfric. But fantastic play by my opponent. He's been doing this all game with some really effective cycle charging, constantly kind of pulling these troops back out and then counter-punching in with this pesky hero core. So I'm going to have to fall back once again with Wulfric. And in the distance, it looks like some peasant mobs have rallied. Warhounds are fighting mobs on the edge of the battlefield. Should be able to chew through them rather quickly. It looks like our Miststalkers, or Familiar Warriors, sorry, have managed to rally, but so have the companions here. We do drop another boat coming down, doing some okay damage. No real targets left for the boat. It kind of did its job early on against the peasant bowmen, but just trying to whittle down the Grail Knights where possible, as the javelin play is going to be coming in. And I have decent ammunition left on these guys as well. Fight or Die has been popped, but it looks like it's just gone off here. As another Spirit Leech comes in on the companions. Wulfric falling back, even though the Sword of Torgold has been popped here. I just didn't want to fight Gotrek, which not sure if it's a mistake. Maybe, he's a dwarf, he's rather naked. I probably could have come in there and just kind of thumped him a little bit. But he does have a ton of support here of his heroes and the Grail Knights once again riding into battle. Grail Knights in the distance here. Looks like they're just falling back, maybe trying to drive off the Marauder Horseman before lapping up and around. I think a good target here would be the Shaman Sorceress of Death to try and stop me getting those consistent Spirit Leeches. But no, it looks like he wants to hunt the Marauder Horseman. We're quite happy to take that challenge. Warhounds are going to be feasting on some poor peasants, and Wulfric's even going to come over and say hello, just to try and rack up some kills for the glorious Dark Gods here. Fortunately for me, Miststalkers have broken, as well as Berserkers. Something Cycle Charging is very good at doing is breaking leadership. Of course, no one wants a horse ramming into them consistently. And Familiar Warriors are going to be bouncing back here as well. Wulfric, once again, just going to be falling back, trying to take out the Grail Knights here. Or, Grail Knights, I was saying Grail Guardians. Wulfric does pop in here, Spirit Leech has gone down, and Wulfric is a pretty good cavalry killer, coming in with those massive tusks. He should be able to chew through these guys relatively effectively. Marauder Horsemen as well, getting those thrown javelins into the back. You can see the Grail Knights do go down rather quickly here, as the skirmish game has begun, or does continue. Miststalkers, as well as Familiar and Berserkers, have rallied here. Probably want to try and focus down at these Grail Knights and save my other Marauder friends, but no, looks like we're actually moving back to the main engagement. Wolfric is rather surrounded here, which isn't the worst situation for me. Rather than giving a Sea Fang, ignoring the peasant mobs, just to try and do as much damage as we can to the Grail Knights, as I'm really not fussed by the peasants. I don't think they can do much damage left anymore. Another effective healing is going down here, so we do counter with his Spirit Leech, it does seem, on top of the Grail Knights, trying desperately to finish them off. At this point, I'm going to be trying to pull out the Knights with Wolfric, and then keep the heroes boxed in with cavalry and Famir coming from the flank to distract them, and then we are actually indeed going to turn around and wail on the Grail Knights. So now we've managed to pull away from their hero core. With Javelin support, Wolfric should quite happily be able to take these guys down. Looks like they are starting to struggle here and waver on their leadership, but so is Wolfric. He's down to 2,000 health, which may seem like a lot, but when you're on a giant mammoth, that isn't too much, as you do get a lot of attacks from all angles. Looks like we have managed to break both the Grail Knights here. In the distance, the Shaman Sorcerer just chilling. And up to 49 kills, not bad considering he's barely been in combat, so a lot of those have been Spirit Leeches. And the peasant mobs do start to flee the battle, and it looks like the hero core is going to be the main bastion of strength left for the Bretonnians. Wolfric just kind of dancing around here where possible, as more and more javelins do come in to Gotrek. I wonder if he has any stuck in him. No, looks like he's got one or two there, kind of stuck in him, but he's a mighty slayer, and mere flesh wound is a javelin to the chest. Looks like Grail Knights are going to be charging into my Marauder Horsemen, who have used up all their ammunition now. Are actually going to take the charge and then try and wrap up and around with this second unit of Marauder Horsemen and coming for the rear attack, and praying that these guys are so low kind of health pool at this point that we should be able to break their leadership. Even the Shaman Sorcerer is darting in here to try and get in there, getting those ferocious kicks and yells and war chants. Grail Knights are broken here. Unfortunately for me, my Mist Stalkers, who do run through the trees here, which is a bit of bad play for me, because that will actually slow them down, I believe, but they're getting caught anyway by this hero core, and there's simply no way to escape for them, so I did make the decision here to actually just try and run with them and abandon them at this point, and try and rally all my other forces together. Wolfric was considering popping over here, but I was kind of trying to save up my Spirit Leeches at this point as well, thinking I wouldn't be able to win this in a main blob fight. So the Mist Stalkers do their slow, ponderous run, do in fact drop a Hunter of Champions on Gotrek, and then turn to engage him, just to try and do as much damage as we can. And it looks like he's not taking too much here. He does have, relatively okay melee defense normally, but with Hunter of Champions, I was hoping to do a little bit of damage. Wolfric is going to be floating over the side, clearing up the peasants. Probably fast forward it at this point, as we are simply going to be chasing down troops and rallying all our forces together, while my opponent kind of chases off the Mist Stalkers and pushes those pesky slimy boys off the edge of the battlefield there. So here we go for the final engagement. Going to get a nice little surround with the horsemen and marauders coming in, and the mighty Wolfric is pondering here, waiting patiently. I'm going to drop in a Spirit Leech on Gotrek, which may seem like a strange choice, and of course he does come with that magic resistance. But at this point, I think my only hope is to kill Gotrek quickly and allow Wolfric to really carry the day. He'll easily be able to deal with the Fae, and the Paladin can go tit for tat for him for a little while. But I feel Gotrek is the main threat here. I'm trying to focus him down where possible. Those mighty tusks coming in and trying to do some damage, but at the same time Wolfric kind of getting caught up on his own troops as well and sending them flinging them to the ground. They should be fine getting back up and back into the action. Norscan forces can be pretty pesky into the late game because of their Berserker trait here, so all of a sudden these Marauders will be fighting much better than usual. We drop a Hunter of Champions now, it's off cooldown onto Gotrek, and once again coming with the mighty Wolfric, trying to pound down the little dwarf. He holds the line, they jump in, swipe with his mighty axe there, once again coming in, except the Shaman Sorcerer is even having to get involved. Gotrek down to just 600 health, but it looks like Wolfric is going to be running for the hills. Gotrek looks like his healing proc kind of pops there, but it doesn't actually work. I think that sometimes is maybe a 50-50 healing proc. I can't remember exactly how it works. But he's quite happy now, down to just 300 health, so close to death, so close to fulfilling his Slayer Oath. But it looks like the forces of Norsca are actually going to be forced off here, and perhaps Gotrek will survive to live another day, which I'm sure he's very ruleful for. Shaman Sorcerer does dart in here, but gets absolutely smacked there by Gotrek, and Shaman Sorcerer can give it his best go here, trying to make Norsca proud, but I don't think he stands too much hope here up against the mighty hero core of the Bretonnians, which is very fitting, as Bretonnia is all about the heroes, the knights, and all that glorious stuff. And it looks like Shaman Sorcerer maybe lost both his arms there in a final decapitation there, or limb loss. And a very valiant defeat by myself there. An awesome game, very well played to Sir Astolfo of Bretonnia, making Bretonnia proud and come in with a really fun and solid build. Obviously with Bretonnia I love to see as much Rohan-ness as possible, and coming in with a ton of cavalry, did some certainly fantastic work with them as well, coming in with fantastic micro, getting in those cycle charging. However, I think it was quite a high investment on the peasant bowmen. I know they're quite cheap, but going with 5 and 5, there was really no chance of those guys ever being protected. They didn't really get too much value, but I suppose it did drag away a lot of my forces and allowed the cav to, you know, clear up some more of my elite troops there. As well as kind of the cavalry doing very good here. The hero corps was a constant menace for me. Gotrek, the Paladin and Fey Enchantress, of course, with Earthbloods consistently being dropped, can be really sticky and tough to deal with. Paladin is great as well at clearing away troops. Gotrek the Large and the Fey for the healing. As for my own force, I do quite like this build a lot. I think it's actually based off one of Felcon's builds, and I do enjoy Wulfric always. 150 kills, doing his best Ragnar impression on top of his giant mammoth, and did some huge work, especially with that boat clearing through the peasant bowmen very early on. Standouts for me were probably the Marauder Horsemen, up to crazy amounts of kills, 120 and 119, helped rout off a lot of troops, break the peasant bowmen, and eventually drive off all the cavalry as well with their throwing javelins. However, I think, as I said at the start of the battle, maybe it's a slight over-investment with the Marauder Berserkers. I don't know if they're needed here. Perhaps cutting both of them, replacing them with some Marauders, and then getting some more anti-large troops to help deal with the Grail Knights and the like. Maybe some Skinwolves might be a better situation for me. But anyway, very fun game all round. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, feel free to subscribe for more Total War Warhammer content, and give the video a big old thumbs up if you did enjoy. Help spread it out to more people so we can convert them to the mighty Duck Clan. Anyway guys, until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.